Okay, please welcome Felix Heidecke. He's working for ownCloud and pushing the Phoenix project to the latest state, and will, of course, he has a lot of plans for the future of the ownCloud front end. He is caring for code style and style guides, and if you have questions about style guides, and if you feel like you want to start designing around ownCloud, it's the right time and place, as we build the front end from scratch, and we build it on latest technology. And Carsten, and you showed us why we are taking this technology. This is a promising technology which, for me strategically, it has one very big benefit. You can learn it in 30 minutes. Everyone can, with JavaScript background, you can just start learning it. And now Felix Heidecke will show the status of our Phoenix project so far. And after the conference, we actually start a sprint with a team on working on Phoenix. So the Phoenix project will evolve very quickly now, and you're welcome to join the project if you like it. Felix, show them what we have.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, thanks guys for coming. I hope you are excited as I am. Yeah, today I'm going to talk especially about Phoenix, and I came up with this little bird yesterday 11 p.m. because I had a logo and I had to change the logo because it wasn't mine, and then I came up with this. Looks kind of nice. Nobody else has seen it yet. Everything's still alpha, but I was just kind of enjoying myself. Anyway, Phoenix up close. What is Phoenix from a technical standpoint? Well, I'm going to talk a lot about Vue.js and how we use it. Thanks to the guys for introducing Vue.js to you. I'm not going to go into detail. It's more about how we use it. Then we're going to talk about a little UI kit, no, some UI kit, and a little Webpack at the end, because I'm not very good at using Webpack. Hint, maybe some of you guys are. All right. Phoenix is a standalone web client that runs on a minimalistic web server. And by standalone web client, I mean it's simply running in your browser. Minimalistic web server means you just need a web server that serves static HTML, JavaScript, and CSS files. So it could be the server you're running your ownCloud on. It could be on your local machine, actually. I have it here running on my local host, and I'm connected to the ownCloud demo instance. And it works just fine. Could be on your phone, could be anywhere. Doesn't matter. And that's one of the awesome parts. I have some notes here because I usually forget what I want to say. Yeah, could be anywhere. First of all, Phoenix and Phoenix applications are written in Vue.js because, as you have heard, it's very easy to learn. It has a simple yet awesome templating engine, and it's highly reactive. And what I mean by reactive, I'm going to talk that later. We use it in conjunction with two major plugins, namely the Vue router and Vuex as our data store. Phoenix and Phoenix applications are designed using UIKit. It has a great amount of user interface elements. It's a list of HTML and CSS classes that you can use to style your interfaces. It has a lot of components that are based on those elements. I don't know if you guys have heard of the atomic design pattern, and the UIKit library kind of leans towards this approach. So we have little elements like buttons and radio boxes and whatnot and headlines, and bigger components are composed from those elements. So it's very cool. It's easy to create new components, new elements, supply them to everybody else who wants to use it, and yeah, it works great in conjunction with Vue.js. And last but not least, Phoenix and Phoenix apps are bundled using Webpack. Webpack handles our .vue files. What those are, the guys told you about Vue files. We're going to go into that a little later. And it supports asynchronous chunking, which is really awesome. Yeah, that is the start. So Vue.js, well, it's a JavaScript framework, and it's used for building user interfaces. Phoenix itself starts a single Vue instance. Phoenix provides the instance itself, as well as a couple of components like the menu on the left, the top bar, a login functionality, all of that, a couple of components, and all the other applications that we, as developers, write for Phoenix are, in essence, Vue components, or a collection of Vue components. So everything lives in one single instance. What else did I write down? Yeah, I talked about the, oh, sorry. Yeah, and this allows for easy communication between applications. Data sharing in the front end now is one of the big and awesome features that we're going to have in Phoenix. So yeah, reactive. Our Smiley's kind of wondering what's reactive about. As of now, we don't really have an awesome way to share data between front-end applications. For example, I wrote the market app that fetches applications from the marketplace, installs them, but the little menu on the upper left, the menu? No, I'm sorry. The menu where you have your applications listed doesn't get updated. Why is that? Well, because the menu doesn't know about the changes. So I had to implement the update process for the menu on the top left, and I kind of rewrote the whole thing. I didn't rewrite it, but I copied the code and made the core update the upper left menu. And usually we don't want to do that. We wanted that to happen on its own. So right now we would have to poll, I guess. So the upper left menu would have to check every other second, every so and so on seconds. Is there a new application, yes or no? Usually we just reload the whole page and it's there. But that is not the way we want to do it. So we have awkward DOM manipulation sometimes. Some guys chose to write to data attributes in DOM nodes so other applications could read from it. Anyway, we want to change that. And we're about to change it. There shouldn't be a question marks anyhow. Let's get reactive. What's reactive all about? And here comes Vuex into play. The store, our global store that every application can write to and read from live, I would say. So, for example, I have a little demo app called the fridge. And the fridge usually holds a couple of items that you have in your refrigerator. And I'm going to talk about the store implementation in a second. What it does, it has an array of fruits, and it iterates over this array and writes it out to the DOM. So here, can you see my mouse? Oh, awesome, right. It lists all the ingredients in our fridge. Up here, before our application is mounted, I'm registering my store module to the global store. And I have computed values, the fruits, it goes out to the store, to the fridge state, and fetches the fruits. So this function here returns the array of fruits that I have in my store. And I have a neat little method here that I come to in a second. This is the way the store looks on the fridge side. And up here I have my states. This is where I store my fruits and my vegetables and apples and whatnot and everything that I really like. I have actions. Those actions can be called from within the applications to mutate the store. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but what does it do? We have a third application, or in this case a second application called the housekeeper. And the housekeeper keeps track of the fruit count that is in our fridge. It is not related to the fridge application in any way, but what it does, it goes out to the store and asks the fridge state about the amount of fruits that it has, and calculates the length and writes it out to the template. And the awesome part here is, Once I go back to the fridge application that doesn't know anything about the housekeeper application, I add vegetables to my store. The array of fruit gets larger. There should be peaches here at the end, and automatically the amount of fruits in the store got updated. In the housekeeper application, there's nothing else that I have to do, that the app has to do. It automatically knows about the new length of the fruits, and it updates the count from 3 to 4. Kind of awesome, isn't it? Awesome? Yeah? No? Thumbs up? All right. But that's not all, because we have something else. Vue.js has an internal event system. So you can emit events, you can listen to events, you can attach a payload to an event. And for example, Phoenix has a component called login. And what login does, that's just an abbreviation. It does a couple of things. You have either a full screen login page that you can use, or you can have a little modal that you can put. Yeah, I know Felix is not very fond of modals. It doesn't matter. It has a little modal that can overlay your application for you to log in. So what it does here is, once the user logs in, it emits an event called Phoenix:user logged in. And as an application, I can listen to that event and trigger whatever I want to trigger. So for example, another app called Alert Me, whenever the Phoenix user logged in event is triggered, it pops up a little event saying, alert, the user logged in. Yeah, that's kind of maybe important, who knows. But something else, as an application, maybe I want to have a logged in user, and I can use ownCloud without being logged in. For example, I can use the files application and view files as a guest, so I don't need to log in. It's a public link, but whenever I browse over to another application that needs a login and the user is not logged in, I can go ahead and ask Phoenix for me to trigger the event login, the login event. So I can go over and request Phoenix to display the login. So I, as an application, I don't have to write the whole logging thingy. I don't have to go out and have a modal or whatever, a form, and handle all that logging stuff. What Phoenix does here, it just listens to events like request login, and whenever that happens, the modal pops up. I can keep the state of my application. I just log in, hit enter. I can then, in turn, listen again to the user logged in event and do whatever I need to do. Awesome again, I hope. I am jumping. Looks like I forgot a slide here. I hope not. Well, as the guy said, components can be written in one single .vue file. And components, like parts of applications or maybe a whole application, can have its less, or our CSS code, its template code, and the JavaScript code all in one file. So that makes it really, really easy to maintain single components. And I'm just showing that you can choose other languages. Well, it's not a language, but dialects. Yeah, you can use Pug if you like. I'm a fan of Pug because it makes. Yeah, I write less lines. You can use Coffee if you like that, and you can use Zas or Las or whatever you would like to use for CSS. And a very important part is the scoped attribute over here. That means that our unordered list and our list items are going to be red and lime in color, but only in the scope of my component. Awesome again. I'm saying awesome too much. Anyway, the hot new look. Let's talk a little bit about UIKit. And maybe I need to start my thingies up here again because... Oh, there was a lot I wanted to say, but I think I said enough so far about that. Yeah, UIKit. In essence, it's a collection, as I said before, of HTML and CSS snippets that you can use to develop awesome interfaces. And at this point, yeah, right now we don't usually we don't really have assets or templates in the current ownCloud that we can use. Usually people go out, copy and paste HTML from other applications, from the core, from I don't know where they find them, then attach some CSS hoping that it works, and maybe it does not work in IE11 or some other weird browser, but we're going to have something else. We don't have a real good style guide yet, so people try to imitate the look of ownCloud as it is now, and UX style guide, yeah, we're also missing that. But we're about to change a couple of those things using UIKit, which, as I said, is a modular front-end framework. And yeah, that's good. Let's go over to getuikit.com, and I wanted to show a couple of things, namely, one second, I'm sorry. For example, you want to use an alert, any kind of color and whatnot. It has some little JavaScript attached to it. Very nice. We also have things that we always use, like buttons. They come in every other great variety. Okay, I can choose buttons here. Large buttons, small buttons, primary buttons, secondary buttons. And the awesome part about that is that it works greatly in every browser, and it usually works great in conjunction with every other UI element you have here. So it takes care of padding and margin and all the little gaps that it needs towards the other elements. Let's go to, yeah, something for Felix again, to the modals. I'm sorry to show that, but we have a couple of modal integrations as well with overflowing inside the modal, so you can always see your save and cancel button, and I'm sure it all works well in mobile devices as well. Yeah, so it brings a lot of CSS, it brings a lot of HTML code. Looking at getuikit.com, this so far is my main source of not inspiration, but getting to know what I can do. It has a lot of markup examples here. So this is basically copy and paste code that you can use in your application in the future. It does a couple of more things. I don't want to go into everything, but here's a whole list of things you can do. Oh yeah, animations are great. So you can attach animation classes to any other element, and as those elements are rendered to the DOM, if you have this any kind of animation class attached to it, it automatically fires up that little animation, so you don't have to worry about writing the CSS code. And another thing, yeah, you just go ahead like the button that I showed before. You just attach two classes. In this case, the UK button. UK stands for UIKit so far. That's subject to change. Maybe it's going to be an OC button or something. And the default button, which is the default white button with a little grayish outline. And when you click on it, it pops up a UIKit notification with a message and a status. And the status here refers to the notification being blue. And you can always access the UIKit methods via this UIKit and then whatever you want to use. In this case, the notification. And yeah, Vue.js loves UIKit. It works great together. The current UIKit 2 has, I don't know, there's another framework, and it's not a framework, but some kind of wrapper for Vue that uses UIKit 2 right now. It's not there for UIKit 3, but as I showed you, it still works fine. Okay, let's go over to Webpack. And Webpack is something that I haven't yet wrapped my head around very much. We use it to bundle all our data, like JavaScript files or Vue files or LESS files or images, could be a JPEG as well, into a single bundle. The Webpack robot takes all that stuff, crunches it, and puts it out to a bundle. And this bundle gets loaded on startup. But yeah, it also has all the dependencies that you would use in your application. The bundle can get big. So loading only this at startup might be a bit heavy. So there's an awesome thing called chunking. And what Webpack can do is it takes separate parts of your bundle and puts them out into a chunk, and this chunk gets loaded as it's needed. For example, this is what we have, this is what we call the boot file, and the boot file is there to create the file that gets loaded on Phoenix Start. So every application has a little tiny file that should be less than, I don't know, a few kilobytes, which gets loaded at the start, that tells Phoenix about the applications and the plugins and the routes that my plugins or applications need. So there are two ways to import a component from my applications. I can import it the Webpack way, import button row item from this Vue component, and in this case it's going to be a little button that lives in the sidebar of the files application. So it extends this extension point over here, and the component is the one that I just imported up here. And this is going to get compiled into the very first tiny loading bundle, because in this case it's simply a button with, I don't know, a couple of lines of code. So it's okay that this can live in this application. No need to load that later, but we also have a component called demo show config. That's going to be a little bit bigger in this example. There are going to be a couple of libraries that we use, so it's, yeah, maybe, let's say it's a megabyte. Still great. But what I can use here, I can ask Webpack to import the component, but this shows Webpack that this part over here should get chunked into its own chunk. And once we use the Phoenix frontend, we click through the sites, and when we go over to the show config application, it then loads the chunk of the app that it needs right there. So it's just collecting over time all the applications, all the chunks that it needs while we are using Phoenix. And yeah, we have to export the routes as well, and this is usually and we have to find our routes and our plugins, and this is what we give to Phoenix to know about my app. Future music, yeah, Zukunftsmusik. I don't know, that's not a very good translation. Anyway, I thought it was funny at the end because you guys aren't laughing as much as I would hope. Yeah, there's going to be offline functionality. We have some of that already works. If you open up Phoenix and you get detached from your Wi-Fi or whatnot, a little pop-up shows up that you're offline right now, but you can still browse the file tree as it has been loaded to this point. So you can go into folders, go out of folders, look at files that you have already in your browser. So this kind of works right now, but we need to have a heavier emphasis on that to use PVAs and maybe little applications using Cordova or Ionic or whatnot. We're also going to have, hopefully in the near future, a very good user experience documentation on how to use the UI elements that you just saw. Just using them is not the whole UX thing. There's a couple more things that you need to be aware of, and we need a good documentation about that, better developer documentation as well. And we still have a few issues that we haven't solved yet. Namely, the chunk loading part is very awesome, but right now, chunk loading in combination with a view router that sometimes Phoenix doesn't find its old chunks, even though Phoenix knows where they are. If you see it, if you look at the network tab, it loads them, but it throws out an error saying it couldn't find them. That's probably because I'm not a huge Webpack expert, and I hope some of you guys are, so maybe you can join in about that. And we haven't solved the app installation itself yet, something else that we need to work on. And at this point, I want to invite you to the little Vue.js Phoenix workshop they're going to have at, I guess, 1 a.m. I don't know, maybe you guys can have a look at the schedule, and we can hack a little bit. Maybe we can write small applications. I can show you more about Phoenix, about how Phoenix works and how to compile applications, because applications, those components are compiled inside Phoenix. Phoenix also works as an SDK, and every application is compiled separately. And this, this was, so we had the need of having this boot file. So we kind of invented something in order to go around not having Node.js on the server. And that's about wraps it up. It was made with love and lots of time by me, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and know more about Phoenix, and hopefully want to use it and help create it in the future. Any questions, by the way? Yeah, questions. Questions? No? Well, no. Well, some components. Oh, the question. I was asked if it was easy to have a responsive UI element or responsive UI elements. Do I have to write more? Do I have to do more? And I would say yes and no. Most greater components are responsive from the get-go, but you can use, like, for example, maybe I can go back to what I did here, hopefully. There's a grid system inside of Vue.js. By the way, all of that that you see here is written using UIKit, and it has, I would say, maybe 10 or 15 lines of additional CSS code. And there are a couple of classes like UKWidth1, UKWidth1-2. So you really have to decide how to use your breakpoints. There are a couple of breakpoints that are in place already with defined widths. I don't know what the plural is. And then you can decide maybe to the sidebar, yeah, this needs to be, I don't know, the quarter size of the screen. And on my iPad, I want to have it even smaller or a bit larger, maybe down below. So what you usually do is you just attach more classes. And you need to wrap your head around a little bit. This class over here needs to work with the other class over here. So if you have items side by side, both can't be 100% width, because then they would be in other places. Yeah, it's yeah, wrapping your head around it a little bit. Knowing CSS well helps a lot, but there's a lot of stuff you can read from. Any more questions that I can? Yeah, Felix. Yeah, this is the Phoenix frontend. It's running on my local machine. And I'm logging in right now to the demo.owncloud.com instance. And right now it says, welcome admin, we love you. I don't know why I put that in, but it sticks to this day. Yeah, this over here, the top bar, that's part of Phoenix. The sidebar, the menu over here, that's part of Phoenix as well. When I'm saying part of Phoenix, it's a component that Phoenix provides for everyone to use. The login on the upper right as well. This little icon here may not be the greatest icon in this case, but this is an extension. This application called ServeStats has a full screen app as well, and it brings a little plugin, and the plugin plugs in the upper right corner and tells you about the server URL and a couple of things. As you can see, we have a demo and the server status, and if a transition between those applications, that's seamless, so there's no reloading, yeah? PVA action going on here. The demo app as well, showing you the current configuration file, and this application has 2 extension points, one above and one below, and the ServeStat plugin plugs into the plugin point below. So those applications over here, they just show how to use extension points, how to extend those extension points. Let's go back to the Files app. I have a little folder over here, and yeah, again, the demo application just plugs in to this little list over here and tells you to have fun with folder number 1. Yeah, and as I said before, all of this is written in Vue.js using UIKit. I'm sorry? The filter is not working, no. The filter is just for, yeah, it does nothing, absolutely nothing. Anyway, yeah, and the sidebar is a separate component within the Files app. And as you can see, it reacts well to any kind of changes. There's no manual updating, no manual fetching information on what file has been selected. And it just does that automatically. A lot of magic going on. Yeah? Yeah, so far. It's going to change. Yeah, we haven't come around to everything yet. But this is, over here, is about to change. Might only look like this in the future. Anyone else? Yeah? Angular, the question was, did we think about using Angular? No. Never. At the very beginning, I thought, or maybe we thought about using the Facebook thingy, React. Yeah, and there was, I don't know, there was back then an issue about licensing, and we didn't know if you wanted to use it. And Felix came forward. Yeah. Anyway, Felix came forward and said, there's an awesome thing called Vue, and we have a mutual friend that told us about Vue, I guess, and then we said, let's do Vue. Vue is awesome. And this is one of my first, not the first, one of my first greater Vue.js projects. So I'm still learning as well. I don't know everything, especially about Webpack. So I hope you guys can help with Webpack. But yeah, things are gonna go forward from now on. Exactly right. Should I repeat? Vue.js is awesome, the rest sucks ass. Oops. Yeah, Angular is, yeah, from my point of view, Angular it's a bit harder. And Vue.js is one of the easiest JavaScript frameworks I've seen so far. And there was another question up there. Yeah. Thank you. Ye-
what we need. There will be a lot of changes also on the API level to support Phoenix and the iOS client so we will learn with building the clients, and we will learn by talking to you and to others building clients or applications based on ownCloud. Yeah, of course. So some APIs are really old in ownCloud, and it's a project living for some time, and this is basically pain for us. We know that legacy APIs are very good, and it's not state-of-the-art what we have on the API level, and we will change that. I think Vincent is really eager and striving for new technologies also on the API level. And I don't know how they will look like in 2 or 3 months, but they will develop very quickly. We will document everything. We will have versioning for the API, so we will do it in a sane and proper way. We will not break everything apart and remove the old stuff. We will just have so we will do it with care and love. And I think your question is very good about let's also have new APIs. This is why the Phoenix yeah, exactly. So this is exactly how we see that the Phoenix is just another client, and strategically it's very cool to have the client, this web client, split from the core backend, because we can maintain both parts better, and we can design the API much better. And this is a big chance also for the server core. It becomes smaller, and we can maintain it better. We can release it independently of the front end. We can have a better QA. Also, the API level is used for testing a lot. So all of this gets more and more easy for us. Yes, and I bet you want to have, and I bet you want to have better APIs for the Smashbox testing also. Okay. Piotr. Louder. Again.
How does it work? How can you release this Phoenix web front end and then put that into a server? The same way as because it's not that you can download.
The Phoenix is just if you compile the whole code, you get just HTML and JavaScript files and a bit of CSS and stuff. So you can iterate every day and get a new front end. And it's just okay. So we will deliver the web front end client in 2 ways. This is also very interesting. It's a standalone web front end. That means you can just put it in your server wherever you want, on a different machine than the ownCloud server basically, or on the same. And we will deliver it as an app. So an ownCloud app will be able to just ship the whole front end. And this is just because it's working and it's easy. The app framework of ownCloud is very flexible and can just do it. So we can deliver the whole web front end as an ownCloud app. And if you want, you can just not install the app and have your web front end installed in multiple other servers if you want. On several hosts, you can scale it out very, very nicely. That's all not a problem. It will be offline capable, so the whole state in the view X will live in your browser, and you can cut off your internet connection and the state will be there. So you can't load the latest file, of course, of the backend server, but you can use the information you have already. So as far as that. You can think of progressive apps. You can make desktop clients out of that maybe to browse stuff. Don't know if that is really what you need, but all this technology is ready for that. So you could even make a desktop application out of that. We don't think so far to make mobile apps out of that, so we will keep our mobile apps, and we are building a new iOS app right now, so we continue to stick to that strategy. But maybe there's potential for some parts. I don't know. I don't know yet. You will play around with that, right? You will tell us.
And about the API changes, there's another project that was written last year during the Google Summer of Code, the JavaScript ownCloud client, and it takes JSON, converts it over to WebDAV, talks to the backend, receives WebDAV back, and translates it to JSON. And this library is also available in Phoenix. And so if there are any changes in the API on the server side, the JavaScript ownCloud clients get updated, and you, as an app developer, you don't have to react to those changes. The changes will be done in the library, and you can still use OC client, log in or log out, or fetch this and fetch that. So changes will be made elsewhere if API changes happen. Makes it easier, yeah? Huh. Who said no?
The guy who needs to deploy it.
The guy who needs to deploy it. I'm fond of them. Let's say there are a couple of things that we're not going to use that I would love to use. Maybe you guys would love to use, but...
So you can write an app and use WebSockets in that app. So it's completely independent of that. The Phoenix SDK will not bring it from scratch. So that is not planned right now. You can convince us, of course. It's very reactive and dynamic already, so we will need to find some reasons for doing that, of course. So maybe we can talk a bit about the next steps in the Phoenix project. I said there will be a development sprint, so there will be a team working on the Phoenix project, and you're welcome to join the team. The communication about all of that is on talkoncloud.com. It's a public chat. You can register there and join the whole communication and the whole staff and team to work together. There's a... I don't get it. There's a Phoenix channel where you can join, and this is all about the Phoenix project. So you can join the... you can find the code on GitHub, and you can find all the communication in that chat. So there's more. The project next steps will be the next alpha release of the Phoenix.
Yes, there's going to be an alpha release, alpha 0.1.0. In essence, it's going to be what I have showed you so far. It's mainly browsing files from the demo instance. It's going to be in applications, so you can download it from the market, install it, and yeah, hopefully we can do this week.
Next week.
Okay, maybe next week. Yeah, and after that there's going to be a beta, and you guys can come forward and test it and use it. And yeah, we need to lay down the road that we would like to have.
This alpha release, we just want to publish the current state to you as a developer. Alpha means development state.
Night Owl. We're using a Night Owl in conjunction with... Yeah, I need to have a look at that.
I heard Cypress from Carsten, so there are different ones. We have started with one. We have not chosen maybe the final. We will see what's living there in the future. You can see the status of the project and the feature specs, of course, and the functionalities. And I think we had also a nice project going on in collaboration around the Phoenix project, and there was a Google Summer of Code project going on. You were working closely together?
Yeah, I was working with Ivata. He was working for the GSOC project in conjunction with CERN, I guess. And yeah, he developed most of the current state that we have here, the file browsing, all the implementation, well, most of the implementation of creating folders and stuff. And
this is part of the next talk, actually. So
is that part of the next talk? Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry.
He's here, and he will show you what he's done on the GSOC project now. So please welcome. Come here. If there's any more questions, come. If there's any more questions on the Phoenix, we have that after lunch. There's a Phoenix workshop, so we want to sit down with you, giving your feedback, listening to you, or you as a developer. If you want to join the project, we will introduce how to around the details, also how to build and how to work, and about the style guides or whatever you are interested in, so that we can kickstart the project together with you in the development.